And I'm wondering if you could just talk to the person who's listening who is having that awakening for the first time, where they're really accepting that some of the behaviors and the negative self-talk and the anxiety, that this is a result of experiences that you had as a child where you were not given the things that you needed.
Mel, there's a lot in what you said. Okay, first it said you behave that way by default. There's a difference between default and fault.
Hmm.
Okay, default, you didn't know you were doing it. You didn't know any better. You were just following patterns that were programmed into you. But it's not your fault. Okay, there's a huge difference, important distinction. Number one. Number two, it's never the child's job to make the parents happy or to create peace in the family. And the child invariably fails, which instills a huge sense of guilt and inadequacy for not having fulfilled a task that never ought to be in yours, never should have been yours in the first place. It's a reversal of roles, because whose job it is to hold who emotionally, to create peace. And so when a child is forced into that position, again, as an adaptation to maintain a relationship with the parents, she's given an impossible task that she's bound to fail at and bound to feel shame over it. Which means that any shame and guilt that you feel is completely undeserved. When we start to noticing these patterns, we can start asking ourselves questions. But it depends on how we ask them. So I could say, why am I behaving this way? Now, is that a question?
No, it's an indictment.
It's an indictment. But if I said, I wonder why I'm behaving that way. So we need to begin to develop that compassionate curiosity towards the self, where we start looking not to why did I, not this indictment, as you say, but genuine curiosity. And from that perspective, everything, pretty much everything anybody thinks is wrong with them is actually begins as an adaptation, or it begins as a failure of development because the conditions for development were not adequate. And so then we can understand. Now, it's not a question of being victims. That's the last thing we want to do, is to foster victim mentality. They did this to me and now I can't help it. No, that happened and it's your responsibility and it's your capacity to change that now. So you have to drop the victim mode altogether, but that doesn't mean that we don't recognize what happened. So to say that stuff happened to you, and I get the sense that something big happened that you haven't articulated yet, but something big happened to you at some point,